Hello, everybody. It is me, Erpikatuzi, or otherwise known as Crimson. Today, we're going to be talking about a series called Nano Machine, part of that genre that I've probably been liking for the past couple of years, where ooh, I gotta get into it, which is martial arts manhwas, and I've just been really into really into the Korean and Chinese just martial arts manhwas that are out there, and I've just been getting into them a lot. Like this one that I didn't really know about until like a few months ago. I got into it. And then, like, this series reminds me a lot of other series. All of them are basically the same, but just like with the isekais and reincarnated series, there's that uniqueness, that premise that just like catches you. And this series caught me. So as a basic story, like synopsis that I can give you is basically like you have the main character gets his hands on some nano machines, like nanobots, to go onto him and then like change up his biomass and stuff like that. Like have him have a sort of like texture. I wouldn't say texture, but sort of like a special ability that a main character gets that you can either be all right with or just completely just be like, I give up on this series. But this series really catches you with that nano machine thing. But then he gets that. It helps him with martial arts, helps him with learning, adapting, and going through this world and helping him adapt his key, his primordial thing that he has, and it lets him get through this world quicker and faster. And that's pretty much all I can say so far. Another premise is that there's a whole entire family hierarchy with like him being there's 7 families and he's a part of this eighth. We don't talk about that family because he's not well established. He's like that, like the headmaster's mistress, because like the main like father figure, he like dated like like 8 females, didn't care about the 7 that are the most popular like high clans, and then only liked the 8th mistress that he truly loved, which is the ones that are not forgotten about, or like the other families to shit on and stuff like that. So if this is if that premise seems interesting to you, then you should pick this up. Also with the nano machine aspect, with computerized stuff in medieval primordial times, if that's you're up your alley, then you should check out the series. So, spoilers right now, spoiler warning, until I just get right into this. So, if you want to leave, read it, and come back, you can. But if not, if you just want to listen to my thoughts, then let's get into this. So, the main character of the series, his name is Cheon Yeon Woon. I'm gonna mess it up, so I'm just gonna say Cheon, or I'll just call him Mr. Woon. Mr. Woon. Yeah, so one of the aspects that I really like about Nano Machine is the Nano Machine, where spoilers, like I said, but there's a version of him like where you see this mysterious figure come to him when he's like severely wounded and he's like about to be attacked, but he's like getting away and stuff like that. And he like meets up this guy that walks over to him as he passes out and then gives him a nano machine. Later on, especially when I read it in the comments of this translation website where I read this and also researched it, is that in the books in the future, like once he's done and becomes, I guess, stronger, or at a certain point, he ends up going to the future where apparently where him himself, or like his future descendant, or is it ascension? How would you mention your future self coming back from the past? So I guess his like future self from way in the future, someone down his line, goes back to his past self, and I don't know how this works, but then he ends up giving him future technology, and then like he wants this version of him to get super powerful, so that way that when he tries to get him to like get to the future, he can help out his future self with a problem that happens in the future. But then even though that happens way in the future, right now we're at the present where things are normal. It's your regular martial arts story where someone's just going through the cultivation levels, getting their key to a certain levels, getting mastering new techniques and new books, new martial arts books, and reading it and like learning from others. Now this nano machine gimmick, I I like love, because there's this thing where in the series where when the main character joins this demonic academy, because he's a part of like this demonic line of clans, where he's not in one of the clans, like I said at the beginning of this video. Then there's the other clans. There's like a sound clan, a sword clan, a blade clan, a blade clan, uh Poison Clan, and then I already forgot what the fifth, sixth, and seventh are. I'm pretty sure that there's only 6 or 7, and the main character is like the eighth child, because each clan has their own child that are around the same age as the main character. So yeah, I guess the demonic master that is the leader of like the demonic faction that made this school got up into some action. And then so then they all have to battle for like to become like to rise up through the ranks in the school, and then we have to go through these tests where like at the beginning they have to go through it solo, but then at a certain point they have to gather other kids from other factions and people that are just not even like a part of like the mainline families, where they just have the people that are in their families that have like their villages that can also go to the school where they send their kids, or maybe people just want them to be part of the demonic faction in order to like build things up. So then they have to recruit many people into their groups. And if you have enough groups, then you can pass through the test in this series that I found very interesting and very cool. That he like has to usually at a certain point they don't really gloss over the school aspect and stuff like this. I think another series that I just remembered just now was Demons and Gods. That's also another series. I forgot the full title, but that's another series where it's a martial arts guy in school. But I think the school aspect in this I like a little bit more than that one because there's more focus on it and more close than other things that happen when it just goes through things. I'm not really mentioning Demon Gods that well, but we're talking about Nano Machines. But one aspect that the main character gets once he goes to this school is that there's like this martial book hall, martial library with martial art books, and there's these rock statues that have sword marks on it, and then but no one can understand it. But because the main character has these nanomachines, he has technology in his body that can help him like heal him from stuff, heal him from poison, so he can't be poisoned. If he gets cut or sliced or like burned, he can like his body just heals itself. And he also has like a technology interface like Iron Man and other series where he has like an AI in his head that can just talk to him and get him through things. So it's like a robot that just helps him, and then he's able to scan this rock in order to like he's also has this simulation ability where he can simulate battles. He can also learn and steal other people's martial arts by going through these simulations in his head. But he can also do it in real time in martial arts like training like rooms that they have in these series where like they have their own separate rooms where they can battle in, and then he can battle sort of like shadow boxing. It reminds me of like Hajime Ippo, where he can like where the boxer trainer just says, "Imagine a shadow of your enemy, and then fight him, and then learn from him, and then be able to defeat him without actually fighting him." But with Nano Machine, takes you to the next level. So instead of imagining what someone would be like, even if you were to watch them preemptively before you fight them, and then do it based off of that, he can actually fight off against an AI version that shows itself through his eyes, like 3D. Like instead of imagining it, it's actually right in front of him because of the nano machine's help. But then when he fights it, he's just like, "Oh, I'm just fighting a simulation. It's not gonna hurt." But then he fights it, and it actually hurts him. So it sort of like goes into like where your illusions and like when your hallucinations actually affect you in real time when they don't matter, but because it matters to your head, it doesn't help. Another thing that helps is that at the very beginning, the main character is, kind of stupid and kind of idiotic, especially since he's like that forgotten child and stuff like that. But then when he gets the nano machine transports information into his head to get him to a level of intelligence that can help him out and make him like different. Like then he has to like get him hurt. One scene that is kind of like weird in these series where like you can also expel impurities in order to have more uh lifeful energy and have not less murky pure energy. So then they have to secrete these like impurities from their bodies, and they end up sometimes turning into like shakes setting their skin that it either oozes out like liquid, or they get enclosed on and then it breaks off, and they have to break off all this loose skin, and they end up looking stronger, or they end up like even their outer body experience changes with their inner body experience. And those scenes in this series I find very fascinating, and I would really like to see a series like this in animation. If there's anybody that knows animations that have like these sort of good good martial arts animes that can like relate to series like this, if you know any, let me know in the comments below. But other than that, you just see him go to this school, and I didn't and then like because going back to like the him like get like using the nano machine with simulations, and also using the simulations on the sword marks on the rock structures I told you about in the martial libraries, he can like simulate how strong this person was. And then there's 7 layers to this library, so he like scans all of it, and then he ends up being able to like translate and mix martial arts and like combine them with the simulation. He can create new martial arts while also copying people's martial arts to create and adapt into something cool. I find that very awesome that he can do that. So then he's able to like see that the person that left these marks was very strong. And at first I thought that the person making these marks was like the demonic leader, but he might not be. He might be like the true descendant that they're trying to find within these group of people that isn't their father, but is like maybe someone related to the father, like maybe the father's father or father's father, if I'm getting that right. I hope that that I'm not saying this wrong. Like maybe it was the father when he was younger or something. Or maybe it is like a different descendant, like even passed further that was stronger than the main character even meets him. Like somehow the person's so strong that even when they're dead or gone, if you see a memory or something, it sort of reminds me sort of Attack on Titan where like Aaron's memories and stuff like that, where you're like going back throughout the times and he's like you mention things when you see it in the future but then you're seeing it in the past, so then the main character meets up with this guy in one of the memories once he looks through the sword mark and stuff like that, and like he even fights a giant snake at one point once he is about to leave the academy in this series, which I found very cool. He just defeats it and he ends up being able to getting this material that he like can't like destroy, that he ends up trying to get turned into a sword. And those aspects of the series I really enjoy. And right now in the series, at the latest chapter, I think there's like 60 plus chapters, maybe more right now, I think. Never mind, it's like almost 100 chapters at this point. So if you want to binge read this right now, you can get a lot of adaptations. But by like episode by the chapters 70, maybe 60 to 70 is when he's like getting to like the final graduation of the school and then ranking up quickly, and then you just see him go through those ranks. And I hope that the series doesn't fall off and that it gets cooler, but because there's so much to the series, especially when they did this school stuff for this long, it sort of reminds me of like a Hitman Reborn type series where like, yeah, the 30, I don't know how it was in like the manga of Hitman Reborn, but in the series you go through 30 episodes of just slice of life until you actually get to the action and stuff like that. But then when you look back on it, even though that it seemed like a long time, I wish that it was a lot more interesting than it was, than it going to slice of life and then going into like actual storytelling and stuff like that. It makes you look back on it and appreciate the build up to it, which is what I like, at how there's the least interesting stuff that happens through the school arc from that long, the 65 chapters, until it goes up further, and then you end up going into the lore and then beating up this thing. There's also, they haven't really mentioned, like the light side, like the light factions that aren't the demonic cult. They haven't mentioned that side that much in the series. And once he's done going through the ranks of the demonic cult and have to go through battles or wars or going through like other cities and stuff like that, and once he notices like him copying, like the main character in the future, like if he copied light faction type people, like the sects, like like monks, or I don't know, I'm really not remembering the light faction names right now. Like I can't remember any of like the light faction sex names for these series because they always use the same names for all of these series, and I'm like not remembering them whatsoever. But that's all I have to say about the series. I've mentioned all I need to mention. There's other things, like the main character finally gets his group of like friends and like loyalists, and they also call him the liege. They call Chion my liege throughout the series. I don't know if that's just this translation. I don't know if they actually call him that, but it would be cool in this series to just have people kneel before him and call him his liege. And even he finds it weird, but I guess everyone else in the demonic cult, I get, doesn't find it weird. But I just find it funny in the series. The comedic moments are in the series is cool. There's also one like member of his group that's cool, which is, I think his name is Byakgi, and I don't know if he's the big strong guy or if he's like the guy that almost rivaled the main character until they got on like good terms in order to be subordinate, in order for him to be a subordinate to the main character and not fight against him, because he ended up learning about him and thought that his triumph to become the strongest. He also has like his goal is to change the demonic cult because of like the way that things are. Like you can't change everything because like you're still a demonic cult, right? You're not a part of the light faction, but you can change things. Like I said, I'm just gonna end it right here. Really like this series. If you want to pick it up and read it online, read it, look it up. Tell me what your thoughts are on this series, but this is all I have to say about it. If you, I would give this an 8 out of 10. Definitely not like a 9, like the greatest thing of this time, and then like a number 10, this is a masterpiece. But an 8, definitely not a number 7 or a 6 that I gave Trash, Trapped in Another World, and not a number 5 that I gave what was it? Uh, I already forgot what that fucking garbage pool was in my last video before this one. and not the Trapped one. The Trapped one I gave a 7. I'm pretty sure I'd give this one an 8. It's better. It's good. Check it out. And that's my review, ramble of this series. If you want to leave a like about what I thought and what I said, then leave a like. If you didn't like anything I said, then that's your opinion. You can leave a dislike. And yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your week or day, night or evening. And yeah, bye. See you later.